positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know, we do it over here. I'm the kind of person that I like to look at things from a broad perspective, and when I see something going on in the United States, I look around the world to see how what's happening here impacts or reflects other countries. I think when you travel and you look outside your general neighborhood, community, you see things aren't what they always appear to be on the surface, and they make more sense. And I've done some reading on Omar Gaddafi and what he was trying to do in Libya, and about him being taken out by the government. And they said, you know, he had these weapons hidden in the aqueducts over there. But upon further research, Omar Gaddafi, what he was doing in Libya, tied into a lot of what's happening right now with immigration in Italy. So you learn a lot on social media when shit just pops up, but then you got to double check and research it. Well, in 2008, Libya and Italy signed a treaty focused on cooperation, with the one key aspect being immigration control. Italy agreed to pay Libya $5 billion in compensation for its past colonial occupation. In return, Libya pledged to take measures to curb illegal immigration from the shores and encourage Libyan investments in Italian businesses. The treaty also involved joint patrols of Libyan waters by Italian and Libyan crews, and the use of satellite detection systems on Libya's land borders with support from both Italy and the EU. The treaty was intended to improve bilateral relations and stabilize cooperation across various sectors. However, it also raised concerns about human rights, particularly regarding the treatment of migrants returned to Libya. The European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, has stated that Italy's cooperation with Libya in returning migrants against their will violated their human rights due to reported inhumane conditions, violence, and other abuses faced by migrants in Libya. While Libya is not a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention, it is a party to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which promotes human rights protection on the continent. The treaty's immigration provisions were short-lived, as the Libyan civil war in 2011 led to the collapse of Gaddafi regime and the end of the agreement. You know, Gaddafi was taken out. They said human rights, but you know, one of the things that Gaddafi was talking about doing was uniting Africa and also establishing a gold standard. Those things will cause you to lose your life. Gold standard, no Federal Reserve, and uniting Africa. Check it out. This guy right here, he says it very well, breaks it down, and puts it all in perspective.
Back in 2011, Muammar Gaddafi said that if he goes down, Europe will be flooded with, quote, millions of blacks. This was obviously very inflammatory. The reason he said this is because Libya is the primary sea corridor that African migrants use to reach Italy. By the early 2000s, this sea route had record high numbers. From 2005 to 2006, Italy recorded the arrival of 15 to 18,000 migrants by boat. This set off alarm bells in Italy, and by 2008, Italy and Libya signed an agreement called the Treaty of Friendship. Under this, Italy agreed to invest $5 billion over 20 years in Libya and supply patrol boats and training. In exchange for these patrol boats, Libya agreed to intercept migrants voyaging to Italy. This had immediate results. By 2009, there was over a 90% drop in migrants reaching Italy, and by 2010, that number was reduced even further. Gaddafi knew he had leverage here because Europe had no other way to stop these migrants, and he had the strong central government needed to do so. Europe was keen to strike another deal with him. In 2010, there were talks going on, and Gaddafi demanded 5 billion euros a year to stop Europe from, quote, turning black. That never ended up happening though, because in 2011 there was the NATO-backed uprising that ended up taking Gaddafi out. Why did NATO want to take Gaddafi out? Well, take a listen to what former Congressman Kurt Weldon had to say.
At every meeting I had with Gaddafi, he wanted two things. He wanted to unite the African continent into a group of nations economically, like European like the European economy. He wanted to base it on the gold standard. And the US and Europe didn't want that. The other thing is they wanted control of his oil, and they wanted control of his sovereign wealth. So Gaddafi had to go.
Ultimately, NATO got exactly what it wanted. Take a listen to what war hawk Hillary Clinton had to say.
Unconfirmed.
Yes, we came
we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit? No, I'm sure it did.
Keep in mind, Libya under Gaddafi's rule was the strongest African country at the time. Highest GDP per capita in any African country, free education, free healthcare, subsidized housing, zero interest loans, oil revenue, sovereign wealth fund. What happened to Libya and Europe after Gaddafi got taken out? Well, Libya now has modern day slavery. It's also a hotspot for various extremist groups, one of which is ISIS. And what about the number of migrants heading to Europe? It absolutely exploded. Between 2014 to 2017, 120,000 to 180,000 migrants per year successfully reached Italy. If you're wondering the total number since NATO took out Gaddafi, conservative estimates suggest at least 1.2 million migrants reached Italy from Libya after Gaddafi's fall. So if you're wondering why Europe is flooded with millions of African and Middle Eastern migrants, the answer is simple: because of greed and warmongering from the ruling elite.
So he ran through and kind of told you what Omar Gaddafi was about, why they wanted to get rid of him. He had national health care. He actually had improved the humanitarian conditions there, because I heard that they barely had running water. They was only able to shower, every so many days. People were actually having running water. They had access to medical education. There was a lot of things, but Omar Gaddafi was also tied into, years ago, if I recollect, there was a plane hijacking. A lot of people died. There's some other stuff, so he had some dubious things in his past. I'm not defending the guy. I never knew him. I'm just sharing what's out there as far as on social media and what they said about him, and also what he was trying to establish. Now, fast forward, Libya is one of the largest human trafficking countries right now in the world. Nobody's saying anything. I haven't heard anybody over here protesting. People are protesting about all this other stuff. Nobody's protesting about the slavery, about the Africans that are being forced into slavery there. People are talking about the immigration, but as you see, they said illegal immigration. And this is the thing, like, one of the big agendas with, I'm not even going to say it, but you can do your research. These people is they don't want any borders. They don't want any type of nationalism. They don't want countries to have any type of self-patriotism. They hate America for that. They hate America that we have access to the right to bear arms, that people here have a strong tie to nationalism. People are patriots. They stand up and pledge allegiance. They celebrate the 4th of July. That doesn't serve the big agenda. So no borders and having people who have no allegiance to coming into a particular country serves the greater purpose to destroy any country that doesn't want to have a world government. And that's one of the big agendas, is a world government. They don't want sovereignty of the states. They don't want sovereignty of the people. They want people to be subject to one leader, whoever appointed they think is going to be ruling over the earth. But this is some of the stuff that is kind of not hidden, but it's out there. But because of all the other distractions and things, people don't even pay attention. And, you just got to do your research. But the immigration thing in Italy is right now, it's flooded. Like they said, with Africans over there who have just coming over nonstop, which is a goal to basically change the demographic of that country. Same thing that, here, and people are like, well, immigrant people leaving. Well, there's legal and illegal. Legal and illegal, man. And, the people who are saying they don't have any understanding of what that means, and what, this whole thing's about controlling masses of people, and basically controlling people who don't serve a particular narrative. And when you have people who have been given benefits, they're ready to do whatever to get those benefits. But yeah, Omar Gaddafi was an interesting guy in many aspects, and he was much feared as far as in what he was trying to accomplish before he was, taken out. And if you don't know about, how many people have been assassinated for trying to unite Africa, just do your research, man. Omar Gaddafi, the current leader of Burkina Faso, he's been, making waves over there. He's kicked out the French. A lot of those countries were colonized by the Dutch and the French, and if it wasn't for the natural, resources in many of the countries in Africa, much of Europe would be in the dark ages. They would be third world countries. France has no resources outside of what has been taken from many of the colonies in Africa that they colonized and kept in debt. And so there's a lot of things. Just you gotta read, man. You gotta read. You can research. You can listen. There's a lot of stuff out there. I just try to keep an open mind, just so I don't get so caught up in what's going on here and all the bullshit and the distractions and the separation and having us looking at, I respect people who have a sense of patriotism for the country they're from, people who, do things in a way that benefits the people there. And, I'm in Arizona, so I support people who support Arizona, people who, in overall America, if you come, you gotta pledge allegiance. If you don't, then don't come. Don't come, man. I'm not gonna go to another country and decide I want to expatriate and then go over there and stir up shit, because I shouldn't have never went over there if I wanted to stir up shit about the place I just left. But it's interesting, stuff like this you don't really hear in a lot of conversations. People like to talk about all the dumb shit, but there are things out there that make you kind of just look and want to research more of the political arena, as far as the governments, the leadership, why we have so many coups, so many wars, why they in certain countries, why are they trying to kick certain people out as far as the leadership. Is follow the money trail and follow the resources, man, and you'll learn a lot. And there's a shift right now. There's been a shift going on, but a lot of people in a lot of these places are waking up, and people here are waking up. People see that the games that are being played, and when a game doesn't work, they hurry up and change. Let's change the play, and it's easy to turn it on, turn it off. Okay, create a riot. Oh, we're gonna stop the riot. Okay, go over here, create a riot. Okay, stop the riot. Go over here, create unrest, create chaos. I mean, it's a nonstop game, man. And like I said, it's like having ants in a jar. You shake it up and see what they do. But a different conversation. Share, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about what they had to say about Omar Gaddafi. What your opinion is of immigration policies, and how you feel about things that you see going on in different parts of the world, and why those things exist. What's the objective at the end of the day? I always tell you, man, that they don't plan. This is not a year, 4 or 5 year. This is like a 40, 50 year, 100-year plan, and it's just little pieces that gradually fall into play, and when one don't work, they readjust it to make sure the next one falls into place so that it can continue. And I see the big picture, but I'm an observer. I'm not, I have no way of stopping or controlling anything. I can just be conscious so I can pay attention and make better decisions for my family and my future, and can continue my success and help friends and people around me. So BigHerc916, spitting a little game, sharing with you guys. This popped in my head. It's late night. I thought I'd share it with you. Share and subscribe to the channel, man. 16 store and pick you up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that BigHerc916 has authored. You know how we do it.